What is up, YouTube? This is Nanashi with yet another deck profile video. This time I'll be showcasing my silver deck, the deck of Thunder. I'm going to go right ahead and say now, this deck is, the main is pure Thunder type, but the extra deck I had to be a lot more flexible for because there's only one Thunder monster that goes in the extra deck right now as far as what I use. So, I couldn't even use that one, sadly enough. But, let's get started. 3 Batterymen microcells. This card's fun. When it's flipped, you special summon a level 4 or lower Batteryman monster from your deck, except itself. But after this card's been flipped, if it's destroyed by Vylons into the grave, you draw a card. So it's 2 for 1. 9-Volt. This is the main card I summon off of Microcell. When it's summoned, you add a Batteryman monster from your deck to your hand, and if you do, its attack and defense are doubled until the end of your next end phase, because by then it just self-destructs. And AAA. This is the main card I search off of 9-Volt. Well, one of them, anyways. When it's normal, you special summon another AAA from hand or grave. 3 Hunder. Once per turn, you get to normal summon an additional level 4 light thunder monster from your hand, except herself. And, of course, her counterpart, Hunder, whom has the exact same effect. 3 Thunder Seahorse. You discard this card from your hand to the grave, add 2 Thunder monsters with 1600 attack or less from your deck to your hand of the same name. Weirdly specific about how it says 1600 or less. I figured it would have been 1500, but whatever. But a turn you play its effect, you cannot special summon, which does hurt a little, but not a lot. 2 Vylon Prism, the only tuner I run in this entire deck. And this card's actually pretty good. If it's sent from the monster zone to the grave, you can pay 500 and add it back to the spell trap zone as an equip card on a monster. And during the damage step, any monster equipped with this card gains 1000 attack. So, it's pretty good. And this is the other card I search out. It's Industrial Strength. You have to banish 2 Batterymen out of your graveyard to summon it. But usually by then I have some microcells or some 9-Volts I'm not using anymore. I never want to banish the AAAs. That card's invaluable. But you can also banish a Thunder monster once per turn to blow up a spell trap and a monster. It has to be both. For spells, I run 2 MST, 2 7th 1, you'll see why, 3 Recycling Battery. The resummoning engine in this deck is fun. I love being able to just constantly normal summon multiple times, and this card lets me reuse that so easily. 2 Spirit Converter. This tech card has worked out a lot better than I expected it to. You take a level 4 light thunder monster and attach it as an Xyz material to an Xyz monster you control. It doesn't have to be thunder, but obviously it's going to be in this deck. And if this card's destroyed, or rather if it's just sent from the field to the graveyard, you target 2 level 4 light thunders in your grave with the same name and put them in your hand. It's kind of like a different version of recycling batteries. For traps, we run a bottomless, 2 Call the Haunted, 2 Judgment of Thunder. This card's not great, but it kind of helps since this deck doesn't do a lot of destruction, just enough. When you summon a Thunder monster, you get the pop a spell trap, or actually just a card in general. 2 Memory Loss, 1 Mirror Force, 1 Torrential. For the side, we have the 3rd Prism, as well as 3 Watt Cobras. This is an engine I use if my opponent's slowing me down significantly to where I have to go into slower pace. Sometimes it's worthwhile. The Watts, most of them have the same effect that they can attack your opponent directly, and they usually have an extra effect when they manage to do so. And this one's effect is that if it does, you get to move a Watt monster from your deck to your hand. One of which is Watt Giraffe, whom, if it does damage, it negates all card effects your opponent controls until the end of this turn. They can't activate any of them. The other card would be the 3 Watt Pheasants I run. If it does damage, you get to banish a monster your opponent controls until the end phase. Also 2 Dark Hole, Compulsory, 1 Fiendish Chain for right now. I can't find the other, but when I do, I will be putting it in. Judgment of Thunder, and Vanities. For the extra, I run 1 Light End Dragon. Once per turn, when this card declares an attack, you can reduce its attack by 500 attack and defense permanently, and the opponent's monster loses 1500 attack and defense, so it's not terrible. It's great to use in tandem with Vylon Prism. Same with Stardust Spark Dragon. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can target a face-up card you control, and during this turn it can't be destroyed. 1 F-Zero Utopic Future. There's a lot of rank 4 plays, as you can imagine, and not all of them are numbers, so there's definitely enough reason to run this card. You take 2 monsters of the same rank, put them in this card as Exceeds Materials, and can't be destroyed by battle. Neither player takes battle damage from this card. At the end of the damage step, if it battled an opponent's monster, you get to take control of it until the end phase. Or the end of the battle phase, rather. But if this card will be destroyed, then you can attach material to save it. 2 Bujinte Tsukuyomi. This card helps me get rid of a lot of dead hands, like with 7th one, if I get it too soon. And it does this by detaching a material, sending your entire hand to the grave, and then drawing 2 cards. You have to send a minimum of 1 card. It also has an effect that involves other Bujins, but I don't use that one. 2 Utopia. It's Utopia. It's good. 3 Starleech Paladynamo. This is the other non-number monster that I use in this deck. Detach 2 materials, select the face of monster opponent controls, attack becomes 0, and its effects are negated. But if this card is destroyed by your opponents, you get to draw a card. That's where this card comes in handy. Thunder Spark Dragon. This is one of the Thunder-themed cards that I thought would work well with this deck. Once per turn, you can activate 1 of 2 effects. You can either detach 3 materials and destroy all of their monsters, or you can detach 5 and destroy all cards your opponent controls. The only way you can get 5 on this card is by using that spell card that lets you add extra materials to it. Spirit Converter. 2 104 Masquerade and a C104 Umbral Horror Masquerade. These cards are fun. Masquerade says that during either player's battle phase, when an opponent's monster activates its effect, you detach a material and negate it, and if you do, you inflict 800 damage to your opponent, and once per turn, you can also make your opponent mill a card. Not great, but it's okay. It's mostly just in there so I can get Umbral Horror in here. When it's special summoned, you automatically destroy a spell trap, but if it has Masquerade on it as a material, it gains this effect. Once per turn, during either player's turn, when a monster effect is activated on your opponent's side, you can detach a material, negate it, send a card from your opponent's hand to the grave, and if you do that, you have your opponent's life points. This card is honestly, for its harsh effects, is the most powerful out of the 7. And Utopia the Lightning. Honestly, the only reason I really run Utopia in this deck right now. I love this card to death. You can exceed it by using a Utopia monster you control. Gains those materials. Can't be used as an exceed material for an exceed summon, but if it battles, your opponent can't activate any cards or effects until the end of the damage step. And once per chain, if it battles an opponent's monster, you can detach 2 materials, and its attack becomes 5,000. It's great to get rid of power cards that can't really do much against you, since it stops their effects. And that's the deck. Like I said, the main deck is the only thing about this that's pure Thunder, and the extra deck, I did the best I could with the electric-themed cards. I know it seems weird to try and actually build around a theme, but that's what I enjoy, and this deck is honestly one of my most powerful decks. People don't like it when I play this deck because it's weirdly good. They have to play around a lot of my odd combos, and my setups are honestly not that bad either. I can play almost out of any hand, and if I don't have a good hand, I can usually just go into Tsukuyomi and try again. But I love this deck. People hate it but love it. I'm probably going to have this deck for a very long time. This is Nanashi, signing out.